So I know we've all had those bad days, bad weeks. Sure. You're stressed out, always feeling exhausted, irritable, snapping at people, don't want to look at anybody, don't want to go in public, feeling really pissed off and disconnected, and then suddenly you realize maybe this is burnout. Burnout, of course, looks different for everybody. So this is just my experience. I don't even know when it hit me, and I know this is not the first time I've experienced burnout, but I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, I just realized I was just so disconnected from wanting to even give a shit at work. I just didn't want to be there, and that's kind of in general anyway. I mean, who wants to work? But when you know you have to, and I get some people like their job, and that's cool. I would dare to venture that most people don't. So, but suddenly it was like a new level of irritability and disconnectedness that I just did not want to do anything that had anything to do with work. And that's kind of a big deal for me because I take a lot of pride in my work ethic and I like to do a good job. So when I kind of noticed that that was no longer the case, I mean, I went through a really angry bit, and then I think it was just like kind of subdued a bit, and then just more like blasé, I don't care about anything kind of phase, which was weird because I guess I hadn't really stopped to recognize it or think about it before. So this was definitely new territory, not new territory for me, but new territory as far as thinking about it goes, if that makes sense. If you guys have been following my story, you know I hate my job, and it's kind of a problem. I'm only there because I am using my job to get debt-free and financially independent. So there's a purpose behind it for me, and it has an end date, which, hallelujah. If you guys know my story, you know I have my master's in marine biology. I am very passionate about marine biology, the ocean, fisheries in particular, and yet I am currently working as a chemist in an industrial plant because I could not find a job that would pay me nearly enough to help match wits with the amount of student loan debt that I have from the degree. So I took a job that when it was mentioned to me, they said, you're probably gonna hate it, but hey, we need this. And they're right, I hate it, but it's a lot more money than I was making. And I knew that it was only something I would use as a financial stepping stone to get myself to a better place. I am absolutely not passionate about my job. And I know it sounds like biology and chemistry kind of coordinate, and yes, that's true. The aspects of the job that I hate are the bureaucratic environment. And one day, once I quit, I'm gonna explain so much more about this job to you guys. I just can't yet. Not that that's pertinent now, but let's just say it does not align with my passion and what I want to be doing, what I always thought I'd be doing. I've wanted to be a marine biologist since I was 3 years old, and I've never wavered on that. And needless to say, working now in an industrial plant that has no windows to the outside world, no natural light, and it's just such a toxic workplace. I know the similar job types, similar job scopes, similar industrial plants, they're not all like that. It's just the one I happen to be at is apparently incredibly toxic, and that is kind of sucky when you're kind of a very sensitive person such as myself. And I know I've mentioned that before, and I'm not sensitive like I'm crying all the time. I'm sensitive like I pick up everybody's energy. Like I can walk in a room and somebody over there is pissed off, and I feel that, and it's like it sets the tone for the whole room for me, and then it affects me and I get negative, and it just is a fucking spiral that just sucks. And it's very hard to get away from that. It's very hard to even come home and leave that shit at the door. It's just like, it sucks. I absorb it, I bring it home, I internalize it, and that impacts me negatively. So I know I'm not someone who's cut out for corporate America anyway. Like having a 9 to 5 is just not my jam. I don't think it's anybody's jam, obviously, but it is so not what I want anymore. And that's not to say I couldn't enjoy a job, obviously. To exist in the world, I need to have a job. I'm just saying, like, corporate America is not for me. Like, dictatorship mentality is not for me. Ooh, is it not for me? But I understand it has its place right now. And so for me, adding on top of this is my whole debt journey, which if you guys have been following, you know I started this whole thing with just under $230,000 of combined debt. Because when I took this job, I also had credit cards, used car loan, medical bills, etc. And now I have gotten, that was 2018. So 4 years later, I'm now down to $160,000, just over. Only federal student loans left, no credit card debt. I've bought a new car and quickly paid that off, and just no other debt. And to get to that place and to continue to this day to put, I would ballpark 50% of my income to my debt is hard. And what I've learned along this way is I can't be focused all the time on just getting out. As much as I want to be, and yes, that will always be my overarching focus, I have realized I need to also enjoy myself a little bit more along the way. My last vacation in 2019, I went to Ireland in May of 2019, and that's the last time I've had a vacation. So do something for me, vacation, to recharge, reset, just straight up have a good time on my own schedule. And I have not prioritized that at all, which is too bad, but that's something I'm doing going forward. And on that same foot, I think mental health is such a critical part to not only just, honestly, just being a functioning member in society. Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot happening. You're interacting with so many people throughout the day. It's just, you need some kind of mental health checkups. Or, and I don't mean like you go into the doctor. I mean, like, you need to take time for yourself, assess yourself. How are you doing inside? How are you doing up here? You know, you need to take time to, if you don't know yourself, get to know yourself and get to know what things you value, what things make you feel better, what things make you recharged. Like, I know for me, that's being outside in nature, riding my bike, walking through the woods, visiting with my brother and getting a tour through his food forest. That is so incredibly rejuvenating for me, and I absolutely love it. So, you know, find what works for you, and maybe that's an afternoon on the couch. I'm all over that too. I tell you what, I love me a good nap. But I think I just hit a point a few months back where I realized, wow, I'm no longer angry. That has subsided, but now I just don't give a shit. And so by the time I realized that, I'd probably been feeling burned out for a while. I just never stopped and recognized that. And I guess, I don't know, it's honestly gonna look different for everybody. Some people may just become sad, and some people become angry. Some people just check right out and become like a zombie. And it's different for everybody. And maybe, you know, probably the same people go through many different aspects of all of those feelings. And I know I certainly do. And by the time I was out of the angry phase and into the really just blasé stage, it finally hit me. For me, I was still feeling motivated and productive at home, and I very much enjoy being here and wanting to do things around the home. So it was not like a totally encompassing like depression, because let me tell you, depression and I are very familiar with each other. And that is just like, I want to do nothing at work, at home, outside of work, nothing. But for me, burnout, I feel so happy at home, and anything that has anything to do with not being at work. So you know, for the past couple months, for example, I have still loved making these videos. Like, this is an incredibly fun and creative outlet for me, and I love sharing my whole life with you guys. So I still have very much felt motivated. I just, whenever I had to be at work, I was just like, nope, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do anything. I will do the bare minimum to make it through, but above and beyond is just not happening. And I was still, of course, being motivated with personal goals, which you guys know. The only reason I have this job and my whole existence here, even on this channel, is my debt-free journey and getting rid of my debt and investing and my rental property and all things financial independence and debt freedom. So those things, I would like to think I will never get burned out on those kind of things. And maybe making videos, yeah, I'm sure it'll happen at some point, but it just, for me, that has not happened yet, thank goodness, because I still very much enjoy sharing my journey with you guys. It's one of the things that does bring me happiness. So thank you for watching. But I've certainly realized that I've had to shift focus to mental health, and I have no shame in admitting that I finally reached out to our work mental health program under our employee benefits. I'm not even sure how it all works, but I have been taking advantage of that for the last couple months now, which is awesome, and I've been really enjoying it. I'm fortunate enough to have an employer that gives us the option to, maybe all mental health meetings are like this nowadays, you know, COVID and all, but I could video chat with this person, I can text with this person, or I don't even think that in-person meetings are an option. I don't really know, but I was just like, ooh, texting, because I am so incredibly introverted. I don't like talking to new people, especially when it comes to my problems. I do not talk about my problems. I do not make that focus of, or I try not to make that the focus of any conversation I ever have, at least when it comes to my mental health. And so it was very strange to me to open up to someone about being stressed out, hating my job, such like that. But she was very, very awesome, very understanding. She's been great. What really stinks is I know how important mental health is, and I know how privileged I am to even have access to the option of being able to talk with someone about my mental health. Someone very close to me has been going through a lot of personal challenges, and they've been trying to find a counselor or a therapist or any kind of mental health assistance just to have someone to talk to for the last few months, but they can't. There's state or federal hotlines that are available for people who can't necessarily afford traditional therapy, but their wait list is astronomical, which really sucks, because I mean, we all know mental health workers are grossly underpaid and grossly overworked. So it sucks. It sucks. So I know how privileged I am to even have access to any kind of, I don't know, I guess she's a therapist, a mental health coach, whatever you want to call her. I don't know. Mental health is just so important, especially these last few years, you guys. Pandemic aside, shit is falling apart here in the US. And I'm not going to try to pretend like I know any kind of pinpointed reason behind it. There is no reason. It's a collective reason. I don't know, but we need more, not only more mental health options, but we need more people talking about mental health and get the stigma out of here. Which, time for a funny story, because this can't be all serious all the time, but you guys, I went home week before last to go see my parents for a few days, and I just happened to forget I had a therapy appointment booked for while I was there. So I walk in the room maybe 10 minutes before my appointment, and my parents were like, well, what do you want to do today? And I was like, well, I actually have therapy in about 10 minutes. And I tell you what, I don't think I've ever cleaned out a room so fast. They just, they took off. They were like, oh, hell. It's like, even though I was like, guys, it's just texting. No, they want nothing to do with that, which is funny now, and it's unfortunate, but like, mental health was just not something that you talk about in at least our household growing up, and from what it feels like for many households as well. And honestly, it kind of goes along with finances, the other thing I talk about a lot on this channel. You don't talk about money, and you don't talk about your mental health. If you have been following my journey, then you'll probably in some way resonate with the mindset that freedom of time and freedom of choice are everything, and you cannot put a price on those things. But you also still need money for the mission. Whatever your life mission, life purpose is, just existing. You need money just to exist. And I'm using the money I'm making now to propel myself into the direction of being able to align my passion with making money. So whatever that means, I don't know yet. I still have a few more years. I have to survive this job to get debt free before I will even really allow myself to stop and think about the next steps. I mean, I have an idea of what I hope the next steps will be, but it doesn't mean that that's the way life's going to play out over the next few years. So either way, I'm just using my job to get out of this debt and move forward with my life and get back to something that I don't need so much mental reprieve from. In my heart of hearts, and I know I get ridicule for this at work, even from family members, but I have a plan to retire very, very early. If it's not at the end of this job, then sometime shortly after that. And I know that's not what everybody wants, and that's cool, but that's what I want, and so that's what I'm focusing on. And you really need to look inside and figure out what it is you do want for your life. Don't listen to peer pressure from your friends, your coworkers, your family, whoever. It's not about them, and they need to go figure out their own shit and their own version of success. Success is whatever success means for you. I just don't think you should have to break your neck or your spirit to get there. Again, totally fine. If you love your job, you love work, you can find work that you do love, and you do want to work into the later years of your life. That's amazing. That is totally cool. And even me, even though I say I want to retire, I just want to retire from the need to work somewhere. I want to get to the place where I want to do some kind of work. I want to feel like, obviously I'm going to want to do something with my life. I think we'd all be bored as shit if we could all just retire and go do nothing. That would be so boring, and that's not what I want. I just want to go have the choice to do what I want, so I'm not mentally draining myself all the time. And so I think if you can use money as a tool to get to where you want to be, I think that's the much more healthier way to look at it. And no matter what, you are more than your job. Your worth is so much more than your paycheck. And I hope you please know that. And whatever the case, success looks different for everybody. What you might deem successful for your life, someone else might think is stupid. What I'm going to deem successful for my life, I already know people are shitting on, and I'm okay with it. I don't care. I've gotten to such a place where I don't care about what people think about my life and my choices. I am only stuck in this job to get to a place where I can make my own choices. So I hope that you can find that for yourself along the way as well. Even if you have to make temporary sacrifices for other things, like if you have financial goals, for example, taking maybe a step back from those a little bit to reprioritize your mental health and the things that are going to make you happy and bring you back to a place of feeling better and that life is feeling a little bit lighter again. Whether that be, working less, finding a better work-life balance, which, by the way, is something they spout all the time at work. Like, oh, work-life balance, but then they make you work all the freaking time. It's really interesting. But yeah, just if you can, and if you can afford to, work a little bit less, have a little bit more free time, maybe focus on the things that you enjoy. Mental health, hobbies, whatever brings you happiness. Like for me, making videos. This is a hobby. It makes me happy. Therefore, it improves my mental health. Just like watering my plants or sitting down and journaling and just sipping coffee in the quiet on my couch with my cats and just being in my own space. I love my own space. My home is my sanctuary for me. So I really enjoy being here, and I really enjoy the things that I get to do here. And sometimes it is a bit of an investment in your mental health, whether it be paying for therapy or taking a little trip, even if it's a really close by staycation. Go try something new, go look somewhere new, go find a new restaurant. You know, even in my opinion, a dinner out here and there is an investment in your mental health. If it makes you happy, if you can go meet up with friends, if you can go with your significant other, your family, whoever it be, if that brings you joy, maybe it's worth a little bit of, you know, squeezing a little bit extra out of your budget for that activity. I'm fortunate in where I live in that I'm very close to the ocean, just a few miles away, but also the mountains are within a couple hours drive. I can go hike if I want to, fresh air, sunshine, time in nature. These are all very rejuvenating for me, as I believe they are for most people. And I think most people don't get enough time in nature. If you can do that, if you've never really prioritized that, I absolutely suggest giving it a try. Spend a little more time, even if it's just the local park or your backyard, whatever it be. It's so refreshing to get some fresh air and some sunshine. That can sometimes just do wonders. And eat all the chocolate.